When I was looking for my late wife's necklace, the only thing I had left of her, my daughter coldly announced, "The necklace has been sold. I needed the money for a vacation." Shocked by her betrayal, I called the pawn shop to get it back. They said, "Sir, you won't believe what we found when we opened the locket on the pendant." This secret revealed the truth about my family. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. I stood in my bedroom, staring at the empty velvet box, my hands trembling against the open drawer. The box sat there like an accusation, its cream satin interior holding nothing but the ghost of what should have been there. Eleanor's necklace, the gold chain with the heart locket she'd worn every single day for 40 years, gone. Downstairs, Jennifer's voice cut through the morning air, sharp commands about breakfast. Michael's laughter boomed from the living room, some sports announcer yelling underneath. Amber's phone conversation drifted up the stairs, complaints about being stuck here, about Phoenix being boring, about wanting to get back to California already. Today was Eleanor's birthday, 3 years since she'd passed, and I'd planned to spend the morning alone with that necklace, the only piece of her I had left that still felt warm somehow. Instead, I faced this hollow box, and the chaos of my family treating my home like their personal hotel. I pulled the drawer out completely, dumping socks onto the bed. Nothing. Got on my knees, checked under the dresser, dust and an old receipt. My chest tightened. I moved to the closet, patting down coat pockets, checking shoe boxes on the shelf. My breathing came faster. The bathroom next. I yanked open the medicine cabinet, pulled out the drawers beneath the sink. Q-tips scattered across the tile floor. Where was it? Where was it? I checked impossible places. The nightstand drawer I'd already searched twice, behind the headboard, under the mattress. My hands shook harder now, that steady tremor of panic I hadn't felt since the hospital, since those last hours with Eleanor, when nothing I did could stop what was coming. 42 years of marriage, and that necklace was all I'd kept. Her clothes donated, her books given to the library, her garden tools rusting in the shed because I couldn't bear to use them. But the necklace, I kept that in its box, safe, untouched, except on days like today when I needed to remember her face. I walked downstairs, each step deliberate. In the living room, Michael sprawled across my couch, feet up on the armrest, bag of chips balanced on his chest. He didn't look up. I stepped over Amber's shopping bags clustered near the stairs, navigated around the coffee table she'd shoved out of place. Jennifer stood at the kitchen counter, phone in one hand, knife in the other, chopping vegetables with aggressive precision. "Thunk, thunk, tunk, Jennifer," I said. "Have you seen?" "I'm busy, Dad." She didn't look up. "It's important. Eleanor's necklace is check your room. You probably forgot where you put it." The knife kept hitting the cutting board. "Thunk, thunk, I did check my room," I said, working to keep my voice level. "I've checked everywhere. The necklace is gone." She sighed. That particular exhale she'd perfected over the past 2 years since they'd moved in. The one that said I was an inconvenience, a burden she'd graciously agreed to shoulder. "No one wants your old stuff, Dad. It was your mother's." My throat felt tight. "The only thing I kept. Then you should have been more careful with it." I stood there watching her chop celery into violent little pieces, and something in my chest went cold. Not hot anger. Cold, like the temperature dropping before a storm. "Jennifer, please." I made myself say it quietly. "I need to know what happened to it." She finally stopped, set down the knife, turned to face me, and her eyes held no warmth at all. Hadn't in years, really. But I'd been fooling myself, hadn't I? Telling myself this was still my daughter, Eleanor's daughter, the girl who used to bring us dandelions from the yard. "Fine," she said. "I sold it, desert, something pawn shop over on Thomas Road." The words didn't make sense at first. Sold it, my daughter sold Eleanor's necklace. "You what?" "We needed $800 for Hawaii. You said no when I asked. So I found another way." Her voice held no apology, no recognition that she'd done anything wrong. She picked up the knife again, resumed chopping. From the living room, Michael's voice drifted over, lazy and satisfied. It was just sitting there. Wilbur, Eleanor's gone. Dead people don't need jewelry. He didn't even sit up to say it. Kept his eyes on the television, scratched his stomach, reached for another handful of chips. The casual nature of it somehow made it worse than if he'd been angry, confrontational. This was just obvious to him. Of course they'd sold it. Why wouldn't they? On the stairs, Amber laughed. That bright empty sound of someone who finds genuine pain. Hilarious. Grandpa, you're being dramatic. It's just a necklace. Mom got us an awesome vacation. I looked at her. Really looked. 23 years old. Eleanor's granddaughter. And she had the same empty eyes as her mother. When had that happened? Or had I just been refusing to see it? Your grandmother wore that every day for 40 years, I said quietly. Amber shrugged, already turning away, phone back to her ear. Well, now someone else gets to wear it. Circle of life or whatever. I stood in my kitchen in the house Eleanor and I had bought in 1985, the house we'd filled with 42 years of memories, and looked at these three people, my daughter, her husband, her daughter. They stared back with the collective expression of people waiting for an inconvenience to remove itself. I turned and walked to my bedroom, closed the door behind me with a soft click, sat on the edge of the bed. The empty velvet box sat on the dresser where I had left it. I picked it up, opened it, closed it, opened it again, closed it. The mechanical motion calmed something in me. Or maybe it wasn't calm, maybe it was something else entirely. My hands had stopped trembling. I sat there for a long time, the box resting on my knees, and felt something shift inside my chest, not breaking. I'd broken 3 years ago when Eleanor died. This was different. This was a settling, a hardening, a clarity I hadn't possessed an hour ago. They'd sold Eleanor's necklace for a vacation. Jennifer had gone into my bedroom, into my private drawer, taken the one thing I treasured, and exchanged it for spending money. And Michael and Amber saw nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. I stood, placed the box carefully back on the dresser, and reached for my phone on the nightstand. My hands stayed steady as I opened the browser and typed, Pawn Shops Phoenix. My finger hovered over the phone screen, scrolling through the list of pawn shops scattered across Phoenix. The empty velvet box sat beside me on the bed, a small square witness to what I was about to do. My hand didn't shake anymore. That surprised me more than anything else from this morning. I started calling. The first shop, Lucky Star Pond, didn't have it. The woman who answered sounded bored. The second shop, Cash Express, put me on hold for 6 minutes before telling me no. The third had closed permanently. The fourth didn't answer. I sat on my bed for each call, describing the necklace the same way every time. Gold chain, heart locket, inscription inside reads, Forever W&E, 14 karat. Bought yesterday, probably. Each time I thanked them politely, and moved to the next number. Jennifer's voice occasionally drifted up from downstairs, giving orders to someone. Michael's sports announcers provided a steady background rumble. I ignored it all. The sixth call went differently. Desert Gold Pawn. This is Harold. I'm looking for a gold necklace with a heart locket. I said it was sold to you yesterday. A pause. Oh yes, I remember that piece. Beautiful craftsmanship. Are you the husband? My chest tightened. I am. She's my wife passed 3 years ago. I'm very sorry. His voice held genuine sympathy. Sir, there's something you should know about that locket. I straightened. What do you mean? When I was examining it, the locket opened. There was a small note inside. The room tilted slightly. A note, I didn't know it opened. I removed it carefully. Didn't want to damage it. Has numbers written on it. Bank something. 40 years. 40 years of marriage. And I'd never known the locket opened. Eleanor had worn it against her skin every single day. And I'd never thought to look for a clasp. Never tried to open it. Did you tell the woman who sold it? I asked. She was already gone. Honestly, I'm not sure she knew the locket opened either. She seemed in a hurry. Of course she had. Jennifer racing to convert my wife's jewelry into vacation money. She probably hadn't even looked at it closely, just saw gold and dollar signs. I need to buy it back. I said, how much? I gave her 800. Fair value is closer to 1,200. It's 14-karat gold, and the craftsmanship is exceptional. I'll pay the 1,200. Can I get it today? Come by any time before 6. I'll hold it for you. And sir, he paused, I won't resell this to anyone else. It's yours. I thanked him, got the address, and sat for a moment looking at the phone in my hand. Eleanor had hidden something in that locket, a note with bank information. What else hadn't she told me? I stood, pocketed my wallet and keys, and walked downstairs. The family didn't look up as I passed through the living room. Michael's feet still claimed the couch. Amber hunched over her phone on the love seat. Jennifer somewhere in the back of the house. I walked out the front door into the November sunshine. The drive to Midtown took 30 minutes. I programmed the address into my phone's GPS and followed the calm voice through familiar streets, turned strange by purpose, strip malls and auto shops, and the occasional palm tree, Phoenix spreading out flat and beige in every direction. Desert gold. Pawn occupied a corner storefront between a nail salon and a tax preparation office. Bars on the windows, but clean bars. A neat sign. I parked in front and sat for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, preparing myself. Inside, the shop smelled like old leather and metal polish. Glass cases lined the walls, filled with jewelry and watches and cameras. A small man in his 50s stood behind the counter, gray hair neatly trimmed, reading glasses perched on his nose. Mr. Davis, he asked. That's me, Harold Chen. He extended his hand and I shook it. Let me get your necklace. He disappeared into a back room and returned carrying a small bundle wrapped in soft cloth. He unfolded it carefully on the counter, and there it was, Eleanor's necklace, the gold catching the fluorescent light, looking exactly as I remembered it, looking against her collarbone every morning for 4 decades. The young woman who sold it, Harold said quietly, early 40s, seemed in a hurry, didn't want to negotiate. I gave her 800, because that's fair for the weight, but I knew immediately it was worth more. He paused. She your daughter? I didn't answer that, just pulled out my wallet and counted out $1,200 bills. Harold had already prepared the paperwork. He pushed a small envelope across the counter. The note, he said. I put it in here for safekeeping. Thank you. I managed. Take care of it this time, he said gently. I drove 3 blocks before I had to pull over. My hands were shaking again, emotion flooding back now that the task was complete, and I was alone. I parked in a shopping center lot, truck facing the afternoon sun streaming through the windshield. The necklace felt heavier than I remembered. I held it up to the light, turning it slowly, looking for the clasp Harold had mentioned.